Hey there, welcome to Ask Amy. Get a little different vantage point today because I don't know what the heck's going on with Facebook Live on my computer. It has to do all these updates, and I won't bore you with it. But I'm over here where I can set this up on my bookshelf and do this on my phone. So I have a great question today from Hannah. And Hannah, I know you sent this a while ago. I don't know, maybe not that long ago, but thank you for your patience in waiting. So Hannah says, "Hi Amy, I know that things in the world do not create our thinking. However, I can't help feeling like other people's prejudiced thoughts cause very real consequences for women or people of color, to name a few. I want to play a part in fighting this injustice, but now I'm not sure where injustice comes from or how to change it, since I can't change other people's thoughts. Maybe you could help shed a little light on this issue." So I think it's a great question, and it's a common one, Hannah. There were several people in the last 6-week course of the Little School of Big Change who, like you, really want to make a difference in the world and really see things as injustice, as do I at times, and it can look a little different coming into this understanding where we talk about things like you say that things in the world don't create our thinking, like we all have this innocence at our core. It can make things like injustice look kind of confusing and like we're not really sure what that means and where to go with it. But here's the thing. So you're absolutely right when you say things in the world don't create our thinking, but our thinking does create things in the world. So when you say you can't help feeling like other people's prejudiced thoughts cause real consequences for people, me too. I think you're right. They do. But it's their prejudiced thinking that looks real to them. And that is everything in this conversation. That is so important to what you're asking about and what you want to do in the world. It's thought that occurs to them that looks real. And it's painful thought, always. We don't act out against people. We aren't cruel. We aren't harmful to other people from a nice, loving, peaceful place. It just doesn't work that way ever. Never, ever, ever. It's painful thought that we think is real, we think is true. They're not good enough. They're different. Things should be different in the world. And then people act on that, and it does have real consequences out in the world. But if the person who's doing that, who's feeling that way, who's doing what we're calling injustice, knew how their thinking worked, if they knew that the more painful and judgmental and hurt they feel, the less seriously they want to take all this, that would change everything. So it's always down to this basic misunderstanding about how our experience works. And unfortunately, we tend to have that backward. We think the worse we feel, the more caught up, the more angry we are, the more they look wrong or they look not good enough, the more right we are. And it couldn't be further from the truth. It's the exact opposite of that. The more we hurt and the more painful our experience is, the more that pain and that suffering is showing us, oh, we're very caught up in our own thinking and it's just looking really real. So to kind of look at the piece of how you get to help make a difference in this, I was thinking about this, and we have a new puppy in our home, so I'm very much thinking about dog training because we're in the middle of it, and dog behavior and all of that, which is really not that different from human training. We don't really train our humans, but human behavior. And it's kind of like, people look at dogs like Doberman and pit bulls and dogs like that and think, some people do, and think, oh, wow, that's a violent dog. Like those dogs can be mean, they can be violent. Any animal in the world, we look at them at times and think that they're bad animals or they're violent or dangerous. But I know if you really look, it's always just a dog that's scared or hurting. Always. Kind, loving, cared for animals don't just leash out in violence. It just doesn't work that way. So we start to see another side of this. We start to see, oh, I understand, like in the dog example, if your dog, let's just take it down to like our little Yorkie poo, if she's acting out like crazy, we're going to get curious best we can and say, what's going on with her? Where are her needs not being met? Where does she need more discipline? Where does she need more structure? Where does she need to get out more energy in a safe and effective way? Like, hopefully we're going to be able to see that. And it's not going to be like, oh, we got a bad one. We got a violent one. She messes everything up. It's her fault. Bad dog. No, it's going to be like, we get to see her with compassion and understanding and try to understand where this behavior is coming from. Now imagine that you can see the people who are creating injustice as you see it in that way. Like, we could see people who are prejudiced and who are hurting other people, and we could see them with understanding and compassion best we can. Now, we're all human too, right? So we all have our own opinions about things, but best we can see, wow, this person is in their own hurt. They're in their own misunderstanding. And I would say what they're in misunderstanding about is who they are and how their experience works. So that's how change gets to happen. Like, you don't have to do the work. You don't have to share this the way that I share it. You'll share it the way that you share it, or it can come into how you want to work with people. But imagine that it's less about changing. It's less about, let me change your thoughts or change your behavior or make this different. And it's more about enlightening or educating or just helping people see clearly. Because when people see clearly, the change is taken care of. It's done. It's done in the seeing clearly. Does that make sense? Like, that's so big. I love that point so much. That little premise is what my whole podcast is based on. When people see clearly, the change takes care of itself. Their behaviors and actions and prejudices and everything, they have a light shine on them, and they have a whole new set of possible actions available to them when they see clearly. So that's ultimately what I think creates huge change and what can protect us and save us from a lot of injustice that's going on in the world. I'm so grateful that you care about these issues and that you have a bit of this understanding and that you're out doing this kind of work, because it's coming from this place of understanding and compassion. It's going to make all the difference in the world, all the difference. So thank you so much, Hannah, for sending your question. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye, everyone.